Hello and welcome to Imagineering, where we try and take you up in life and not just on with it. My wonderful guest today is Jim Rich from Canada. Hi, Jim.
Hey there, man. How are you? Good to be here.
Fantastic. Now, Jim is a picture teller artist. He combines almost 30 years of manufacturing engineering, problem-solving experience with strong artistic visioning skills that helps the team solve problems. He's also one of the facilitators for Mindcamp and Acre and a bunch of other creativity conferences. You might have noticed that he does his wonderful, amazing videos. And some of his specialties are mind mapping, graphic facilitation, storyboarding, book illustration, and workshops. He actually just did a book cover for who was it now? Tim Herson.
Yep, right. Tim Herson. Yeah, Think Better.
Think Better, yeah. I actually like that title because I tell people it's not enough to think different; you have to think better, right? And
hey, quick, write that one down. That's a good one.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, it's not enough to think different, right? Apple's all about thinking different, and that's fine. But it's about thinking more. You know, it's asking better questions. It's not just enough to think different. We have to sort of like think more, ask better questions. Anyway, and yeah, what is a picture teller artist? I don't think I've ever heard that as a career.
Well, I hope you never have, because it's only a few weeks old. Just a second here. You might want to stop. Oh, okay, my wife was just trying to get my attention here because I'm outdoors, and she just wanted to warn me that there's a flock of wild turkeys wandering behind me here right now.
Oh, okay, that's fine. No one cares.
Hopefully they won't interrupt. No, that's okay, Barb. Thanks for warning me.
You know, I'll cut this from the tape, but I saw your picture, your wedding day picture, and I was thinking, it's like, is that Jim? That can't be Jim. How did Jim get younger in 30 years? I was like, it's like, that can't be Jim. That's not
me, dude.
Yeah, because I was thinking, it's like, who's the guy? It's like, congratulations, Jim. Because like, that's not Jim. How the hell did you get younger in 30 years?
Yeah. Oh my God.
It was just like really funny. I thought, why would he put up pictures of two different people? You know, it's like, and you know, explaining about his wedding anniversary. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. And it was just like, it was just weird. So yeah, I finally managed to accept that is you in the picture.
Okay, that's good. That's good, because I have a hard time too.
That's cool. Okay, so let's try this again. Okay. Welcome to Imagineering, where we try and help you move up in life instead of just on with it. My wonderful guest today is Jim Rich from Canada. Jim is a picture teller artist, something I've never actually heard of as a career. He combines almost 30 years of manufacturing engineering, problem-solving experience, along with strong artistic visioning. He does a lot of facilitation for creativity conferences such as Acre and Mindcamp. And some of his specialties include mind mapping, graphic facilitation, storyboarding, book illustrations, and workshops, what he actually calls his graphic bootcamp. Myself have been a wonderful participant in his 7 years of art school in 7 minutes program that he did at Acre in 2017, was it now? Yes.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. It's been too long anyway. So Jim, exactly what is a picture teller artist? I don't think I've ever heard of that as a career.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, man. This is like way awesome. I love this, that we're able to connect like this. You haven't heard of a picture teller artist because it's just a term I've created a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
And I was working, or I am working through a coaching process with a fabulous coach right now since April. And I've got to the stage now where I'm redefining what it is I do, because on anybody's journey, it's a whole bunch of things that collect over time and shape who you are. And I was struggling to define what it was, because people would ask me, what do I do? And it's like, all this stuff would come out, right?
Yeah, that's the trouble with creative people. We do so many different things that it's difficult to define exactly what you do. So it's
yeah. So there was thoughts in my mind, so I spent a process of clarifying what that is, And I came up with a picture teller artist. Now, you've heard people say that they're a storyteller.
Mhm.
I tell stories through pictures, so I'm not really a storyteller in the traditional sense. I'm a picture teller. I use pictures to tell stories. Now, those pictures can be in traditional format. They can be in digital format, with pen and ink or digital drawing, or video, because a video is visually a story as well. So that's the picture teller. I use pictures to tell stories, explain things, teach people how to do that. But then there's an artist piece at the end of that title. And what that represents is, yeah, the artistic form. It's, I'm a visual artist, but also that encompasses a performance part, because I like to perform visually. There's traditional forms of storytelling like kamishibai, a Japanese format that I use. And I also try to make my workshops more like, edutainment, like a performance.
Entertainment, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where the title came from, and I've just started using it, and it very, very much more redefines what I'm all about. But more importantly, it allows me to leave certain things behind. Now, that's not a negative term. It just means, the evolution, right?
Right.
It's allows, a new way forward. So that's the long explanation of what that means.
Well, that's brilliant. But I like the idea of not evolving, really. I don't think, as a teacher myself, one of the biggest drawbacks of teaching was to have the same material year after year after year. And it's like, it's so boring, and how do you transfer that excitement for the product, the book, the story, when you've heard the same story a million times? It's really difficult. So I do really believe that we should all strive to add a bit more uh, different aspects to our careers. And someone who started in engineering, manufacturing engineering, and now doing uh, picture teller artist, I love that. I love how you manage to change careers and redefine yourself in a new way, multiple ways, and just create a new aspect for yourself. And I really
Mhm.
love that.
Yeah, and you've hit on a really, really important point. Is this? I call it reinvention. A lot of people use that term. It's reinvention, and I think what I try to do is ensure that I'm always evolving.
Mm.
Uh, you can get really good at something, and then you stick with it, right? And you can get incremental improvement in that. But I have to keep reminding myself of, you almost have to kind of, let go, or I don't use the word destroy, but, kind of like jettison something to make room for some new exploration. And I'm always constantly challenging myself, when I'm doing illustrations or drawings. Does it look like the same old drawing or the same old style? How can I make the style different, right? How can I reinvent it? And for the last several years, I was involved with video, but now I've really stepped up the video. And it's interesting what you said, is because I find that creating new workshops with new content that express where I am in that journey is really helpful,
Mm.
because it really forces you then, like, oh my gosh, I got to do a workshop. I got to create content for it. I got to take what I've been doing here and put it out there for the world, right? So that's a very important point you touched on there.
But you're like a renaissance man, really, because you explore so many different aspects. I know
Who,
that
who you?
seems like,
No, come on now, come
I
on.
know it seems corny or whatever, right? But if you think of the Renaissance, it was a time of a lot of different techniques, and the people value the exploration of different paths and avenues to explore. And I love that, because that's exactly what you're doing. You're exploring different ways of doing things. You said edutainment, right? For example, one of your videos on YouTube is when you do the plan, do, check, act thing. And
Mm-hmm.
I loved every second of it, because you're not drawing anything, right? It's all a picture within a story. And I loved how you went into the shed. Like, I'll put the link in the description and you can watch it for yourself, whoever's looking at this. And you went into the shed and just throwing out stuff, and just random junk, it looks like, a soup can, a paint can, or whatever. And you're making this, and I've used it myself as an explanation of how we need to take steps to get to
Yep.
our next levels, right?
Yep.
But we can't just jump from the bottom level to the highest level, because then we haven't put any structures in place. And in case we roll down, in case we fall down on a previous step, we have to constantly force ourselves to think better. And which is actually the title of a book by Tim Herson, who, and you did the cover for that, and that's brilliant. Just it's so wonderful to see someone explore their creativity, because a lot of people think creativity is art or dance or music or so forth, right? But it's really how you perceive things, how you challenge yourself, and how you ask better questions. And you constantly seem to be asking yourself better questions, because like last year, I think at MindCamp was your Kamishibai stories, where you took explained the Japanese storytelling through pictures. And this time now at MindCamp is finished now, but this time it was something called WeTube. And I love the idea of a WeTube. I haven't really come across anything like it. Can you explain what exactly is a WeTube?
Yeah, again, it's a reinvention process, and trying to push myself to explore a different direction, which is video now. And where the title WeTube came from was not only looking for something that had a good handle people could grab onto, but also had some familiarity with it, because the WeTube sounds like YouTube. They go, oh, okay, something to do with video. But what I was trying to get really across there is that the you, changing it to we, and I bring this out in the workshop, is to emphasize that we all collectively have an opportunity that we've never had before in history, and that is to be able to communicate with the entire planet through video. And don't know if people realize the significance of this. It's mind-bending, mind-blowing. And so I had my video journey, which I'm on, and it's reshaped my brain and reshaped how I do things visually. And so I wanted to share that with people and help people get on board and get over their fears and get them up and running quickly. So learn, from my learning curve in a lot faster way. So I created this workshop called WeTube to share, my learning, so pointed to help people get up and running and in this format. So it's a scary new place for a lot of people. It was a scary new place for me at one point. It's not a new place. It's still a bit scary at times, which is good, which means you're stretching, right?
You're not getting used to the same old, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of where the workshop came from, and it's been received very well. We had a blast, had a total blast in the session.
But what I can say is that what I've experienced from your workshops and stuff like that, you've never gone out and said people need to buy the fanciest equipment or the most expensive this or whatever. What you do is usually done with a cell phone and a laptop or something, it's or some basic pencils and drawings and stuff. Now you do have some wonderful equipment that you do use for certain projects, like your brushes and things. And but overall, when you promote something in your workshops, you don't tell people you need to buy this $20,000 camera and then the stabilization tripod thing and all kinds of things to be able to do video. You say, it's like you've got something already, and that's your phone. And with the internet and with video editing software and all kinds of things, a lot of which is for free, you can do so much. And I really love that. Is that something that you set out to do, or is it just something that sort of happened naturally?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Meaning
yes
that.
Yes to both of those.
Yes to both of those.
I'm a big proponent for using what you have and extracting, like wringing out every morsel of capability of what you have in front of you before you jump to the next step. Because what it does, it forces you to work on your skill and technique and understanding and creativity first before you start to, get wound up in the technology, right? And that can be a huge, huge distraction. And it always comes back, whether it's I'm drawing a picture or it's a video, it comes back to the story.
But that's a problem today as well with a lot of television shows and movies and so forth. They forgot that it's about the story first and everything else second to last, right? You can watch a story and it's or a movie, a film, and they so bombard you with graphics, because they've got this big studio now and all kinds of things, and
Yep.
and then they forgot that you should actually have a story, And I think with the WeTube thing, it's so important to get back to the basics and really force yourself to think better.
Yeah. There you go. Exactly. So I stress in the WeTube workshop, I have a huge visual poster that's, I don't know, several meters long, and it's a journey map, and it's based on my personal experience of developing in video, and also, thinking about if I was to teach somebody the steps they need to go through. And the first half of that several meter long journey map is what I call the free zone. And it means literally it's free. And you can get incredible video story quality by not spending a single, dollar. It's amazing. Virtually everybody has one of these now. And the video capability in this is astounding. I can videotape Brandt, and I can not even do any editing if he's got a great message, and I can take it, and within, keystrokes, it's up on, the World Wide Web to the universe.
Yeah.
And that's astounding. It's mind-boggling. If you've got a really great story and you have some simple basic technique you've learned, the video looks phenomenal, sounds phenomenal, and people are like mesmerized and have no idea that you didn't have all kinds of studio production behind you. So there's no reason to go bonkers on the equipment, right? It's not my term. I didn't invent it, but I've come across it's called GAS, GAS. An acronym stands for Gadget Acquisition Syndrome.
Okay.
And you got to be really careful that you don't get gassed, man. You got to be really careful. So I encourage people, don't move up to the next level of equipment until you've pushed the wall and you're bumping against the wall, right? The other big thing around that is editing software. It's just starting to happen now where there's high-end studio-grade video editing software, which is now available for free. That used to have to spend like hundreds and hundreds, in some cases, the old days, thousands of dollars on to acquire. And it's free now. It's like...
even Windows, even something as simple as Windows Movie Maker, I don't even know if that still comes with Windows, but that's an incredibly powerful software to be able to use, and I think you can still download it somewhere, but it's still powerful enough to be able to do 90% of what you need to, right? Now later on you can progress to Final Cut and Premiere Pro and all those things, right? But if you want to start and then use the tools at hand, like you said, use the tools, and like you're using now, sunlight, natural light. Nothing really looks quite as nice as natural light,
Yeah, I'm glad you tweaked in on that, because I knew that it's going to look really stiff if I was inside. And I'm in Canada. It's the end of getting to be towards the end of fall, mid-fall here, and every morsel of warm weather is a gift. So I wanted to be out here, but also you're right. It's just the ambience, the lighting, everything is just so much more, awesome.
But I've seen people do full-length feature films on a phone using natural light and some reflective material, to just sort of like bounce the light where they need to.
You bet. You bet.
But now we've talked about a bit about light, and we've talked now about pictures and storytelling. What about sound? How important is sound in your workshops?
Sound is absolutely critical. Just quickly, when it comes to video production, sound is actually more important than the video component. People will watch a video that has really terrible video quality but has good sound, but the other way around, people are gone instantly.
Yeah.
But that's one side of it. The other thing is, in my workshops, I try to make sound an integral part of the experience. So my workshops, as I mentioned I think, earlier, I call them edutainment. I try to make the event a sonic experience as well. So there's actually a soundtrack throughout my entire workshop.
I've noticed that when I was in your workshop, in
Yeah,
Akre, you
yeah,
had a series of songs throughout everything, and because it stimulates more than just one sense, right? It's not just a visual thing; you hear it as well. And when we did the drawing and the future sort of mind mapping, goal setting thing, feeling the chalk or the whatever it was at the time. It was 2 years ago. I can't remember exactly what it was.
markers. Yeah, we had
The
markers.
markers, right? Yeah, feeling it, touching it, seeing it, and hearing it. It was an all-encompassing sort of experience, and I think that's what makes it so unique and makes it so stand out. And I think that's why it lasts and people love it, because I saw people come back 2 or 3 times to your workshop. Like asked the one. Actually, I think it was Dave Hammond, right?
Yeah, yeah, Dave. Yeah,
Yeah, who's he's a Canadian as well, but he works here in Swakop. I
yeah.
asked him, it's like, you've already been to this course. Why did you come back? It's like, well, there's only one workshop left throughout the entire 3-day conference, and he doesn't want to take any chances. He knows he's going to enjoy this, right? So I said, well, okay, that's fair enough. It's like,
Yeah.
You know what you want, and that's okay. Personally, I would have tried to experience as much as possible, but it's just like so difficult in a 3-day time span to be able to experience everything. I try to get to most people, but yeah, but I loved how you have this wonderful way of teaching that doesn't feel like teaching, right? It doesn't feel like you're preachy. It's an experience more than anything else, and and I really love that.
Well, thank you, man. Yeah, I try to make it what's in my mind is a multi-dimensional experience. So we're sensory beings. We're tactile, kinesthetic, auditory beings. We need all of these inputs to understand the world and appreciate the world around us, right? Children, when they're playing, they're using all of these senses to experience and understand the world. So if I only present my workshop or my material or the experience in a couple sensory modes, we've left most of our opportunity off the table. So you have to try and grab all those, because if you can cement all those together, the experience becomes so much more enjoyable and so much more memorable and just that much fun. It becomes literally like play. And so when I'm designing a workshop and an exercise, I'm always trying to think, how can I make it multi-sensory? It has to be I want people to be able to taste it, feel it, smell it, touch it, hear it. You can't get to the taste and the smell, but you can get all of those.
People might have a problem with it.
Yeah.
You licking some stranger, it's just like.
You can, but that's my philosophy. That's my mindset, which drives every time I'm trying to design something. And back to the music, people don't leverage that and take advantage of that in learning experiences. I find it's very seldom do they do that, and it's kind of like a secret weapon. In a workshop, not in a negative way, but in a positive way, to help influence people in a positive manner. It's a sonic experience, and the music enters through your back door of your mind without you realizing it. So there's no barriers to it. It just goes in and starts to massage your perception and mood of the situation, right? Without you knowing it.
But music not teaches us, but it shows us how to feel about things, right? If you ever watch a movie without the music, you're not always so sure what's going on, and you can tell a lot about suspense. You can tell a lot more suspenseful tales using music. I'm not a musician. I don't know the technical term. I think it's crescendo or whatever. When it just goes up and you get into this climax, and then bam, that sharp sudden sound.
Yeah.
It's so yeah. And what else you do in your workshops that I've noticed was that you get people moving.
Yeah, that's the kinesthetic part. Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up too, because that is so critical. we are, as much as anything, we're kinesthetic creatures. We need to move. We want to move. We learn through movement. What it does, I'm not a PhD in education, but what it does, it cements the learning process. And the really interesting thing is when last year I was in South Africa at Accra, a number of educators there in the previous year, and we talked about this very fact. They were in my workshop and they said, hey, we're glad to see you're using movement. And I said, yeah, it's my empirical experience. And they said, but from a academic point of view, it's absolutely proven and critical. And they work in schools in South Africa where they try to incorporate kinesthetic movement with the learning. So in other words, it's as simple as kids walking around as they're learning their multiplication tables. That becomes this gestalt effect, right, where it amplifies the learning and the retention. So I found that very exciting. I just had this same conversation last weekend with a school principal here in Canada, and he said exactly the same thing to me, and I went, wow, and then I related, my experiences with him, right, and we were just like in total agreement. Kids have to move, and here's the big news: adults have to move too.
Yeah.
And we don't know, we've forgotten that. We think we have to sit in a workshop and, do this. No.
But that's the thing when people come to my workshops and they've put out a pen and paper, like this A4 notepad and a few pens and so forth. It's like, you can put that away. You're not going to need it. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, look, if you want the slides, I'll send you the slides. It's like, but I mean, it's only like 4 slides really. And most of what we're going to do is going to be movement and expression, all kinds of things, right? To get us sort of thinking better. So you can really, because this is not something you can easily replicate or write down, so you can probably just put it away. Oh, okay. And then I just keep it there, right? Because it's like a safety, security blanket sort of a thing, right? And it's like, okay, look, you can keep it there, but that's fine. And then this one lady came to me afterwards and she says, I've written down nothing. And I was like, well, that's good. It's like, no, but it's like, like, I don't know. What am I going to do now? It's like, well, did you learn anything? It's like, yes, you learned this and all kinds of things. Like, right. So what does it matter if you wrote it down during the time? Because as soon as you start writing down while I'm talking or while experiencing things, you're taking yourself out of the experience.
Yeah, experiential learning is what it's all about. I'm not
saying throw away, books. By all means, afterwards, go write down your observations on your notes or something like that, if that's what you want to do. But more important than anything else is start using it.
Yeah, this is a fun conversation because they're at MindCamp this year here in Canada. There's a gentleman, Edward from France, and I've got to know him quite well, and he was doing a very long multi-day workshop at MindCamp, and he came to me, he says, I'm stuck with how to start the workshop, and and so we had some kind of good conversation. We kicked it back and forth, and eventually what he came up with was, yeah, I'm going to use paper and pen at the beginning, but here's what he did. He says, everybody take paper and pen out. I want you to write your expectations of the workshop down, take a few minutes to reflect, right? And, play some nice relaxing music, and they, they all think, and blah, 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 blah. And he says, they get all done. He says, okay, now, everybody stand up. He says, I want you to take that piece of paper, tear it off, hold it in your hands, crumple it all up. You see that garbage can over there? Everybody throw it across the room at the garbage can. Okay, now we're ready to start. Take all that.
I'm definitely stealing that.
Take all expectation and throw it out. We're not doing any of that.
But this really comes back to your triangle or your pyramid, your vision sort of pyramid that you do.
Yep.
And
yep.
I don't know if you have a website or something of it on. I've got a copy of it. I can put it in the description.
Yeah, by all means.
And where you basically go that it's where PowerPoint is like the lowest form of presentation, right? And
it's right down there, the amoeba, the first
right. The single-celled organism. It's like the basics of basic.
Oh my God, we got a new metaphor there, eh?
Yeah. You know, it's amoeba style presentation. You know,
Yeah,
single cell organism.
you're still using that amoeba style presenting.
Come on, man. It's like, really? You know, it's like, it's 2019, man. Get to the future. But, you know, it's like, there's a book by, I think, Douglas Kruger that says, you know, make your point without PowerPoint. And I just keep thinking back to your pyramid, you know, it's like where you put in different levels for engagement, basically, in presentations. And on the very top is, I can't remember the guy's name. It's, I have to look it up, but at the very top is the epitome where you are the presentation, right? It's not the PowerPoint, and then you move up. It's basic storytelling, maybe Kamishibai, which is Japanese picture storytelling, puppets, you know. And I've actually used that in, it was this year when I did the multi-day creativity conference for at the local center here, and I worked through it, and I actually used puppets and I used Kamishibai because it was so wonderful and it was so much more engaging than just using a PowerPoint presentation. Look, I'm not dissing PowerPoint if that's what you use, but even a PowerPoint you can make more creative or look better, right? But don't just stick with one medium. Don't just stick to one thing. You know, have people moving, have sound, have them explore different sights and sounds and all kinds of things, and that's what makes it memorable, and that's what's going to at least get a higher quality of people using the skills that you've taught them.
Yeah. I as you move up that triangle, and if you put it, you know, share it with people there. As you move up, I call that increasing your ambition of communication. So down at the bottom here, PowerPoint, it's a very low ambition, right? You're expending very little. But as you go up, your ambition increases, right? So, you know, you have a high level of ambition at the top. And at the very top is what we call animation. So as you move up this pyramid, you're increasing your level of animation. And animation is not what we normally think, oh, it's cartoons, you know, and videos.
It's to be animated, to be moving, yeah.
Yeah. Animation, if you go back to the Latin root, the origin of the word means to instill spirit or life into something.
Ooh, like animus, right? Yeah.
Yes, it's to reconstitute, rejuvenate, resurrect, life back into an inanimate object. It's like, you know, when I was in South Africa several years ago up in the north, there's a plant that people show me. It's called the resurrection plant. And it's this dried out, dead looking brush, you know, it's like, it's dead. The leaves are dead. You take a little branch, you stick in a cup of water, and like you come back like a day later, 2 days later, it's all, the leaves are all beautiful and everything. And it's like, it's resurrected. And that's what you need to do with the visuals. When you have like a poster on the wall where you need to reanimate it. And how do you reanimate it? With yourself. You put yourself literally into the picture and you explain it with, you know, gestures and enthusiasm. That's what that level of animation, you find ways to animate things more and more as you go up. And the more you can animate, the more experiential it becomes, the more memorable, the more it goes into all of our neural pathways, all those different sensory modes, right? So
apart from ACRE and African Creativity Conference by Dr. Cobus Niffling, and of course MindCamp, which is just outside of Toronto, these two creativity conferences, what other conferences do you attend or are you part of?
There's the kind of the granddaddy, the originator of them all, which is called CPSI,
right? The Creative Problem Solving Institute.
Yeah, in the United States. And I went there for many, 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 many years. And the last time I was there, I think it was about 2-3 years ago. I've been to the CREA conference, which is again it's, you know, a European version of MindCamp. You know, I don't want to say it's a version; they're their own distinct thing. Right. That's an amazing conference held in Italy on the Mediterranean coast.
Is that the CREA Italy conference thing that I keep seeing?
Yeah.
I would love to attend that one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, delicious, multi-sensory experience, right? But those are the main conferences. Some other newer conferences that have evolved that I've not been to yet, but hope to, is MindCamp Chile in South America.
Wow.
And there's also a new MindCamp in I believe it's Arizona in the United States. It's called MindCamp Southwest. So it's out in the desert of the Southwest of the United States. It's a beautiful location. So those are the main worldwide creativity conferences. So I've been to a good handful of them. Yeah.
How do you see these conferences in the future? Do you think that it's still going to be as relevant or even more relevant?
Wow, that's a good question. That is a really good question. I don't know if I've got a straightforward, clarified answer.
Just give me
I'd
your
have to.
opinion on it. Everybody's got their own opinions to things. Just what do
Yeah,
you see these conferences like? I know that the Creativity Conference struggles to get donors, right? To get people to sponsor the event. And even though I can't imagine why, because you take away so much from these conferences.
Yeah.
But it's like it's something that is, I think, very tricky, because if you haven't experienced it, it's difficult to define it.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to express what it is unless you've experienced, right? It's like tasting something. How do you describe the taste of something, right?
Tastes like cheese. It's like, what does cheese taste like? Well,
yeah. You have to experience it. I think there's an interesting dichotomy going on here. These conferences are more important than they've ever been, but the risk level is higher than it's ever been to their survival. They need to evolve, and it's like everything. They get into a pattern, a recipe that works, and the danger is if you continue that recipe, they can start to become less relevant. So there has to be like some forced reinvention there as well in these conferences to keep them vital and connected with what's happening. And I'm happy to say that in large part I see that happening. But again, with any evolutionary process, change process, it can be painful, but it's absolutely necessary. I think the big thing is to start attracting a new generation of people. And a lot of the principles that are taught there at these conferences are timeless principles that are true and will always be true. But there's new awarenesses that are occurring out there, especially with technology and how people approach problems, that have to be absorbed into the curriculum or the mindset of these conferences. One thing that I see that's still significantly missing is the whole digital world. Now, when you go to these conferences, they're not high tech; they're high touch, which I think that is paramount. But there's a digital component that needs to be brought in and absorbed and made part of the curriculum. Part of the reason why I'm doing WeTube,
right,
is because it's a digital perspective on timeless principles of storytelling. I will say I haven't been to the other conferences in a couple of years now, but MindCamp, to their credit, they are becoming or have become very technology savvy in the conference structure and organization. So they no longer have a program or a booklet that you get as a participant. All there is an app that's on your phone.
That's brilliant.
And the app contains all of the description, all of the presenters, any associated videos. Also, at the end of a workshop, when you want to rate the workshop, it's all done on the app. And that immediately goes back to the presenter. So nobody's touching any paper. Nobody's collating any data. It's all done as it should be on this. Any news updates at the conference, this is where it's at, right? So, that's just an example of, on the infrastructure of a conference. But I think the content, there needs to be some kind of look there, for them to stay relevant and to attract new people, younger generations, right? So that's the danger. But of course, the danger equals, guess what? the opportunity, right?
Right. Well, that's that old trope about the danger, opportunity, opposites.
Yeah,
It is true. I mean, linguistically speaking, those two characters mean more than just those two things. But
yeah, yeah,
it is true that in danger there is opportunity. I
yeah.
think we've
I'm
seen
just
the
gonna swing
move out
around
of
here.
this direct sunlight. Okay,
Is
it
that
burns.
is that better, or is
Yeah,
that
that's
too dark
fine.
now?
No, it's fine. I'm sure
You
we can
sure?
handle it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And one of the people that I've been talking to with this Imagineering series, Volume 2, is Cassie Labori, who lives in New York, or New York State anyway, I think. And what she does is she's a digital facilitator, meaning she does her
Oh
workshops
wow.
and everything online through platforms such as Zoom that we're using right now, or Skype, or whatever it may be, right? And she does all her workshops, and she has icebreakers and all kinds of fun things that you do to keep interest and to keep people engaged throughout the workshop, right? By
Mm-hmm.
using the digital platform. And I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe there is room for a digital creativity conference.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's not saying that the movement is not started, but it's something I think that the organizers, participants need to be aware of is how can we incorporate that more? Not to
Hmm.
say we abandon the traditional,
Yeah, I'm not
methods and
saying
tools.
throw away what
Yeah,
already is working, right? But
yeah,
add more to it. For example, me,
yeah.
who wants to experience a mind camp like experience, right? I don't have access to mind camp to go. I don't have that time to go and fly to Toronto and then get some accommodation outside of Toronto for a multi-day workshop conference like mind camp. Even though I understand the value of it and I really want to do it, it's that time that's unpaid leave basically. It's not really realistic for everyone to be able to do that. But if you can bring it closer to them by using platforms such as Zoom or Skype or whatever it may be, uh, I don't what else might they be? It's like there's a lot of platforms that we can use, but you can have the same sort of or a different but a still valuable aspect to the mind camp. So you're not ending mind camp the way it is, but you're expanding it to incorporate a multinational, international sort of idea. I don't know.
I mean, you've just struck on a really interesting idea. What if, for example, Mind Camp Canada, just as an example, was to expressly have a session or a couple sessions that were formatted specifically around this idea?
Right.
So, in other
So then you
words,
get Mind Camp Canada and Mind Camp Canada online.
wow, holy moly, man. I mean, that could be, if there's somebody that, if we set up the technology such that, it's a simulcast or people can, log in, right? But at the same time participate,
Yeah.
and the technology's all there. I
And it's
mean,
already there with then, because each session in these creativity conferences, you've got a maximum occupancy anyway, right? 20, 25 people, whatever it may be, right? That you can say, it's like, look, we can only accommodate so many people because a facilitator is only one person usually. You can't get to everybody, which is why you
yep,
need to have like a cutoff amount of people.
yep,
So you can
yep,
have the same sort of effect and say, we're going to run four workshops simultaneously. Here's Jim, here's Alan, here's Brandt, here's whoever, right? And you can choose whichever one you want to log into, right? You can even skip it and just log. You can even end your online interaction, just join another one. Everything gets
yep,
recorded and everything gets posted online for those who have paid to be part of the
yep,
experience. They can download
yep,
those videos as well.
yep.
It's just, I think now for me, sitting in Namibia, very far removed from Canada, it would be a beneficial sort of aspect to add to a conference like that, which is something I try to incorporate into my own creativity sort of conferencing by having Alan and other people sign on online, and people can ask questions and they can do a poll and all kinds of stuff. But I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's a way to go. And if, like, for example, Akre, who struggles to get sponsors, maybe you don't have to close the doors, but you can check another format.
Wow. So, oh, just a second here. My lawn maintenance guy has just showed up. Just a second. Hey, Perry, how are you? Good, good. I'm on a call here. Can you just give me like another 10, 15 minutes back here? Okay. Thanks. Appreciate it. Okay.
Well, it's what's the time now? Nearly 10 a.m. in Canada.
Yeah, it's 10 a.m. But I just before we leave what you just said. So here's a challenge for us, for you and I. There may be other opportunities that come up before MindCamp or other conferences next year because it's an annual event. But let's kind of put a stake in the sand right now. Whatever workshop I'm going to be delivering next year at MindCamp, let's give ourselves the challenge to put it online live.
Yeah, let's do that. Because I know that the PSA, the Professional Speakers Association of Southern Africa, they actually live stream certain meetings of theirs. They even have an online virtual chapter that I'm part of, right? That we talk about speaking professionally and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And we share all these ideas, and it's an online mastermind work group and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
It is possible, and it can be done. And you know what? Let's join forces with some of these other people that are on this Imagineering series, like Cassie Labori from Cassie Consulting, and have them reach out and possibly help.
Yeah. Well, let's do that right now. Let's say that's what we're going to do, and I will promote my workshop next year as being also a live online experience. I mean, heck, you can go live on YouTube, you can go live on Facebook.
Yeah. And
it's
even
not
with
like
with technology as it is, the only thing is Facebook doesn't allow multi-streaming, but there are obviously ways around that.
Yeah, like Zoom, I don't
piss off Facebook.
yeah. Like I don't know what the maximum capability is on Zoom. How many people can come on and interact live?
You can have like for my version, I'm a paid subscriber to Zoom, so I can have up to 100 people online.
There we go, man. Let's go for it.
It's easy to do. It's not that difficult. It shouldn't be anyway. We're all wonderful, amazing, creative thinking people.
Yeah.
So I love what you're doing. I love WeTube. I love the ideas of storytelling. And I want to see more videos from Jim. I love the videos that you do, but it's so few and far between. I need like a daily fix of Jim, but Jim will fix it.
Well, I've got lots and lots of ideas in the can. I've got lots of video footage in the can. And so, I'm hoping you're going to see a little steadier stream coming out in the near future. I've got some interesting projects planned as well.
Brilliant. So if you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to this on SoundCloud or Podbean or whatever it may be, drop me a comment and see, would you be interested in attending an online creativity conference? What is your experience with facilitators, and if you're a facilitator yourself, do you think you can incorporate different elements like storytelling, like visual art, or maybe puppetry even in your own workshops? Drop a comment and let's see where we are. I'm also going to give some links to Jim's YouTube and Facebook pages and channels, and you can connect with him there. If you want to ask him a question, I'm absolutely certain he'll be happy to start a conversation with you. And with that in mind, thank you for this episode of Imagineering, and thank you for helping people move up in life and not just on with it. And I really, really think we touched on something here that might benefit future generations. So thank you, Jim, so much.
Thank you. It's been awesome, man. A million thanks.
This is Imagineering. See you next time.